The AWS VPC instances are associated with a unique security group that acts as a virtual firewall and controls the traffic in the VPC. Security groups have a set of rules that filter traffic in two ways: inbound and outbound. The rule defines the protocol, such as HTTP and ports, for the source and destination, IP addresses, for communication. A security group can be configured at account and cluster levels. The ports allow inbound traffic from Kubel's security group into the AWS region. Please see the Kubel technical documentation for the list of ports. Configuring clusters in an AWS VPC with private and public subnets ensures data security on the QDS platform. You can use an IPv4 and IPv6 to securely and easily access resources and applications. Route tables are used with public and private subnets to control the routing for the subnet. Route table used with a public subnet contains all outbound traffic going to the Internet gateway. Route table used with a private subnet contains all outbound traffic going to the NAT gateway. Kubel recommends using a NAT gateway instead of a customer setup NAT instance for high reliability. The public subnet contains a bastion host that typically acts as a bridge to the compute instances in the private subnet. Generally, SSH, Secure Shell Protocol, is used for connectivity. A security group is applied to the bastion host to control inbound and outbound traffic. Once connectivity is established with the bastion host, it will launch the QDS compute clusters in the private subnet. You must create a security group for the bastion host with the following inbound and outbound settings. For inbound, allow SSH access on port 22 to the Kubel tunnel server. You can open the SSH port access of the bastion node to the world or to only a few IP addresses. You may need to contact the Kubel support team for configuration. Kubel highly recommends using a tunnel instead of open SSH. Once tunneling is enabled on the cluster, it is automatically used for data export, import, and running commands. The outbound ports allow traffic to everywhere. Allow access on TCP 7000 from the cluster region's IP address range. Allow access on ports 20001 to 20005 for incoming TCP traffic from the cluster coordinator node for private subnet CIDR. For outbound, allow outbound traffic on all ports to everywhere. However, allowing outbound traffic to only a private subnet CIDR is also sufficient. Kubel uses Amazon EC2 instances for cluster nodes. For cluster nodes, configure security groups with allowing inbound traffic all ports access from bastion host and cluster security group created by Kubel. Allow outbound traffic to everywhere. In addition to the bastion host and the cluster security groups, you must also configure Hive Metastore security groups to allow RDS port access from cluster security group, cluster nodes created by Kubel, and from bastion host private IP. Allow outbound traffic to everywhere.